Welcome to the Success Resequencing Project. I'm Debbie Ponticus.
And I'm Jen Newman.
Join us as we challenge the traditional definitions of success so you can build a fulfilling path of your own.
Get ready for inspired, candid conversations while gaining tools, inspiration, and confidence to create your own authentic success story.
Sometimes in life, you just have to trust your gut and lean into your experiences and passions and know that as long as you're staying true to yourself, happiness and fulfillment are just around the corner, even if you don't know which corner. Well, that's exactly what our guest on today's podcast has done. Her story is a celebration of chutzpah and determination we can all learn from. On today's podcast, we are delighted to welcome Carly Schroeder, the owner and principal designer of CJS Lifestyle and Design. With an impressive 16 years of direct experience in transforming outdoor spaces into breathtaking havens, her passion for design knows no bounds. And we know her story can inspire all of us to open our eyes to opportunity. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Carly, today on the Success Resequencing podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. We're so happy you're here.
Absolutely. Well, you know, one of the things that we just wanted to jump in on today was you have such a fascinating story. You have such a fascinating path to where you got to where you are today, and that being a very successful landscape designer, architect, if you will. But let's go back a little bit and tell us about a personal story that maybe inspired you to and shaped who you are today.
Ooh, wow. That went deep right away.
We're going right in.
That's right. Gosh. I mean, it's always going to start with my family. I mean, my dad was always in construction doing something. They built our house in Wisconsin growing up. And so I've been surrounded by design and powerful, exciting people. So that molded how I just moved through Earth, quite honestly. And obviously, my bold decision to change my life course that I thought I was going on and moving to Hollywood was, I think, one of the greatest things I've ever done. It put a little bit of confidence in me that I didn't know that I had when I was a 17-year-old person, right? 17 and 18. So that was just formidable years for me to make bold decisions. My parents were quite impressed by that.
Yes. I can only imagine that. Speaking of that, we're privy to the fact that we know where that story's going about moving to Hollywood. I think it's so astounding to me that you had the courage and the chutzpah at that time in your life to make that kind of a decision. Can you walk us through how you told your folks and what you were planning to do versus what you ended up doing?
I didn't really tell my folks.
I love this.
So,
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I intended on going to a D3 school to play volleyball, and my brother was at an associated school, so it just felt right. I was still 40 minutes away from a family member, so we would drive back and forth together, and it was amazing. It turned out that volleyball probably wasn't for me, and I was a little fish in a big pond now, and the school didn't have anything that I really wanted to study or focus on. So it was very easy for me to make that decision to just not return to that school just after one semester.
That happens to a lot of people, and I think that's a very pivotal moment and courageous thing to recognize that at a young age, that this isn't what I'm meant to be doing. So continue the story, because you're getting to my favorite part.
Well, I held on for a second semester. And I decided, man, I just am not getting anything out of this experience. It's just basic classes. I'm meeting wonderful people, and relationships I still have to this day that are very valuable to me that I got out of that experience, and I'm grateful for that. But one summer I decided, I don't really need to go back to that school. So I did some research, and I found FIDM, FIDM, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. I chose the LA campus. I just did a little bit of research on what you needed to do to get in, and I thought I was going to be this fancy interior designer. So I did my presentation, and I sent it in. I got accepted, and I scheduled an appointment with the financial aid office. And my mom called up to me. She's like, "Hey, are you supposed to be going back to your other college?" And I said, "I'm not going to go back there. I'm just going to go to this other school, and I have a financial aid meeting next week. Would you like to go?"
I and every mother out there just held their breath.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
How did she respond to that? I mean, you spoke just earlier about how your parents, you came from a family of creatives, people who were already entrepreneurs and creatives, but what was her response to you in that moment when you alerted her that you had totally changed paths?
Shock. Mm-hmm. Shock and awe for sure. But I also think that she probably wasn't surprised. Mm-hmm. I don't think that my family is surprised by anything that I do at this point. It's just kind of the expectation that she's just going to do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Just a little wildflower. So she looked at me and she said, "All right, is that what you want?" "Yeah, this is what I'm doing. You can be a part of it or not." And she said, "Okay, well, clear my schedule. Let's go."
That's
Drove
great.
me out there, and we did. It was a nightmare sitting at that financial aid desk, but it was tough. I mean, obviously the lady's telling me this is a $30,000 quarter almost. It's just a ridiculous sum of money. So my mom's warning is you're going to be paying $100 a month for every whatever $1,000 you get. And it's a lot of money to go out there. So she was nervous for that, but those student loans are paid off.
Oh, congratulations.
No, that's an incredible
huge.
thing.
Yeah.
So take us to that moment. So you went to FIDM, you said, "Okay, I'm going to be an interior designer."
Mm-hmm.
Now you graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what was the next kind of launching point for you? What did you do after that?
I turned 21 on graduation day, so my parents took me to Vegas. And then from there, I moved back to Arizona thinking that I had a job at an architecture firm where I was going to continue education trying to be an architect at ASU. 2008 was tough for a lot of people, so I was let go within 2 weeks. It was just... sorry.
Yeah.
I just can't have you here.
Yeah.
It was easy to cut me because I was just the first one or the last one hired on. So I decided, okay, I guess I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to work in bars. I eventually found this other job in military design through a bar and survived that way, just doing industrial design and studying anthropometry at ASU, which is human ergonomics, thinking that I would be in hospitality design or something. But I took one landscape course and it didn't resonate with me, I guess.
Yeah.
And eventually conversations at the bars led me to my first job at Creative Environments, where they taught me the basics of just about everything. They took me on out of the kindness of their little hearts, I think.
Well, one of the things that I want to touch on that you've mentioned is your ability to seek opportunity, I think is something that not many people lean into, or maybe some people would give up, right? Maybe some people would feel defeated, after spending all this time and money on this career or this, passion that you thought was going to happen. And then 2 weeks in, you get fired. The economy was not doing great. So you did bartending, but you didn't just do bartending. I mean, the opportunities that you were able to create. Yep. Talk to us a little bit about your mindset when you were given that situation. Okay, so you're going to go back. You've got to pay the bills, make an ends meet, but you wanted more. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about that mindset while you were bartending, and how did you find those opportunities?
Mm-hmm. Survival, quite honestly. It was a little survival of the fittest back then. Quite honestly, when we were at the bars, we were paying each other's bills. That bar didn't do a very good job of paying us timely. So we would rotate who would pay each other's bills. Like it was straight up survival. So I thought, one revenue stream is not enough. I need more. I need more than this. I can't live like this forever. I don't know how long this recession thing is going to be part of our lives, but I just started chatting with people and connecting. And if a door is semi-open, I'm plowing through that, baby. I'm going to make something happen of this.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I think what's interesting to me is that through your experience bartending and the relationships that you made there, you clearly were having conversation after conversation after conversation.
A lot of chatting.
Yeah, exactly. To even have those doors even cracked for you. So what were you putting out there at the time stating that you wanted to do? Were you basically saying I'm open to anything, or was it more about just articulating what your experience was so far and people just picked up on it and started providing you opportunities?
It was that. I think people liked the way that I spoke. They liked the way that I carried myself, that I was educated, that I had passion for certain things, and that I had a desire to work and to be good at something.
Right.
Whatever that was, I just wanted to be good and I wanted to like it.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to pay me too.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then you had some amazing opportunities from that experience. Share with us what you think maybe was one of your most unique opportunities that a door was opened while you were having these conversations.
I think it's my time in military design. Quite honestly, I would have never seen myself going down that path. My regular at the bar would ask me a couple questions about printers and colors, and I had the right answers. And he said, "Come on down to this building in Chandler. Let me see what we can do with you." Okay.
All right.
So he put me on this team of 4 people, and we just invented stuff for the military all day long. All we did was just go to random countries and we took pictures and we created 3-dimensional camouflage and new vehicles and just a lot of crazy stuff that I just would have never imagined, that I probably shouldn't even talk about.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, all right, we'll bleep this out.
Fair enough.
So here's this girl who at a young age knew that there was something bigger and better out there. You weren't going to just fall in line. You weren't going to just stick in a rut if it wasn't going to work for you. You were bold. You had the courage to voice that to your parents, to those around you. You seek opportunities where they're found and you take charge and you go get it,
Thank you.
That is
obvious.
why you are who you are today. And so now we fast forward and here you are, a successful woman business owner. And let's talk about your journey into landscape and landscape design.
Yeah. So that same very bar, the owner of Creative Environments was sitting at the bar and they were overhearing me discussing this military job about what I was doing with my life beyond that bar. And they offered me a job pretty quickly. I had to work through it because it was initially an all commission-based position, and I didn't have strong comfort in my abilities then, so they adjusted their program for me and taught me everything. And I quickly learned that there was only so far you could go in certain places, so I moved on from there so I could learn a little bit more. And I went to Refine Gardens, and Jeremy taught me everything good, everything that I should know.
Yeah.
The bright stuff.
Was it more about teaching you from the perspective of running the business, or was it more about the skill set that you needed to actually implement the design, oversee your trades, et cetera? What was it that he taught you that was so profound to you?
So I think he taught me the quality of proper design and respect for design in general. So that was his strong suit. Creative Environments handled the construction side of things.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
They gave me all the basics on how to run a job.
Yes.
I got to know how to build when I'm designing. I got to think through these things a little bit more.
Yeah.
So they taught me how to think through things and how to figure it out, you know? And then Jeremy honed it in. He really honed it in and expanded my vision of what design could possibly be. And then from there, I didn't think that I could grow much more, and I didn't have comfort in the distribution of funds, like I mentioned. And I thought, well, okay, I have another opportunity. A friend called me and said, I'm starting this firm. Would you like to jump? Sure.
That's what I'm good at.
I'm there.
I am looking for an opportunity, and one just opened.
Yeah.
And so here Carly goes.
Yep. So I took that on and shockingly quickly learned that I had a different vision and different ethics than that last company. And I decided I just need to be by myself. I don't play well with others at this point. So I need to figure it out by myself and see what mistakes I'm doing and figure it out on my own without the noise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's an important thing. I think, you've basically trained yourself your whole life to listen to yourself, listen to make sure if you don't feel like something's right, then don't stay. And take everything you've learned and seek opportunity for yourself. And so that is a huge, again, I mean, that the courage that you have to be able to say, this is not for me. Thank you so much. And now here you are. So that led you to opening your own business. So how is that going?
Well, it depends on what they ask me. I won't lie.
Says every business owner everywhere.
It is very challenging, but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't go back to another firm. I've explored doing that in hard times, and I just can't imagine going back to someone else's office. Just not for me, but it's going very well. I should be very positive about it because I've been 3.5 years without any marketing, without.
Oh, fantastic.
Right. It's just work just keeps falling in my hands. People ask me how it's happening. I don't know. I just keep praying.
Just keep going.
Yeah. God provide the manna and we're here.
Yeah. Amen to that. I think something that I appreciate, and I think a lot of people can resonate with, is that you have achieved what most people are ultimately searching for, and that is full autonomy with your work. And I'm curious for you, when you said it's challenging, I think we can all appreciate that because, yes, running a business is challenging, and anyone who says it isn't is just either hasn't run a business or is not telling the truth. But that autonomy piece is typically the one thing that stands out for most business owners, in that they're willing to take the risks, they're willing to take the challenges head on, they're willing to deal with the even ups and downs of revenue and business, so long as they have that autonomy. The other piece that I think stands out to me, though, is that you also are really driven by respect. And I'm curious, is that something that you have intrinsically always leaned into from the time you were young? Or is that something that was almost as a result of witnessing other behaviors or witnessing other people's standards and really determining for you that respect was truly an overarching core value for you?
Ooh, probably a major combination of both. I definitely learned a lot of how not to do it along the way. And I told myself, we don't treat people like that. We don't do a lot of these things that you witness in business. It's just inappropriate in my opinion. But I think my core values also come from my family. Again, it's just, I've watched my mom do basically the same things I'm doing. She paved the way for me. She's just an incredible human being and very driven, and has always done her thing and has always commanded respect in a way that is soft, which I value that, where you don't have to demand it. You don't have to be in a room and scream for the respect. You just walk in it and you can feel it.
She knows herself. What did that feel like being raised by her? I don't want to leave this for a second. The idea of being soft in its delivery. How have you emulated that moving forward? Because that is in a male-dominated industry that can be tricky, especially when you are having to manage big projects, many trade partners. There's a lot of moving pieces. just take us down a little bit more of what of your mom's direction where that was concerned. And I'm sure it was just by example, but for
it really
you
is just by example. She's she'll probably weep if she hears this too.
Okay, Mom, get the
always
Kleenex.
good days and bad
Here we
days
go.
right? But she has always been very graceful. I think she gets that with her grounding in her word and the Lord and things like that, if you're into that. And she has transferred that down to us. But the way that her and my dad interact with each other and the way that they've lived their lives respecting each other and being respectful to each other in front of us and giving us something to value, just the way that they interact with each other. I don't think that either any of us kids knew what was happening in front of us when we were younger, but now we can look back and value that they knew how to figure it out. Like they could keep their private stuff private and they could, interact with us in peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What exactly did your mom do? Or what was her career?
She is in research. So she is in medical research. She was a nurse for a very, very long time. Later on, got her bachelor's in nursing when I was in college, actually. So we were all at the same time.
Yes.
And she has been in research and cancer diagnostics and things. Just, again, she's a chaser of the startups. So
love that.
Let's see where that comes from.
Yes. Honestly.
Yes. So I think that's where my no fear comes from, is from her. Quite honestly, she paved the way, and I've been blessed to have my sister-in-law as well. She's an incredible businesswoman as a partner at Deloitte. So I'm surrounded by powerful women. And so it's easy for me to be in my role because it's kind of natural.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes, me too.
I think as a working mom, it's nice to hear stories like that. Because you just do the best you can and you try and set a good example for your kids, but to know that your kids see it and that it can help shape them and who they are in life, just is a great message. And so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
She's
amazing.
She sounds like a superwoman.
She sounds amazing.
Like kudos that she was able, and I think it's difficult as parents to recognize that your children have different paths as well. We all try and take kids down a certain path, of just, be good and do this and go to school and graduate from college or whatever that is, right? But sometimes that's not what their destiny is. And to have parents that recognized that and supported it and even mirrored it and showed you the way is a blessing. It is, a true testament to, you've mentioned your family this whole time, and it truly is, I think, what's helped you just have that courage to just do what you want to do and be successful at it. And that grit and that determination, you sometimes that's a natural ability, but sometimes you learn it from seeing. And I think that, so that's
100% how I learn, is I learn by seeing, watching, and then doing it wrong.
Yeah. Amen. Well, you learn the most from making mistakes.
Absolutely.
I think.
And I do think that there is something to be said for how we learn. I think there is a natural tendency in some people that it's kinesthetic, where they physically have to go through it to understand it. They physically have to go through it to teach it, to change it. It's not so much about an abstract view of it. It really is just learning it the hard way sometimes. So sometimes those are the best lessons and the most fulfilling in the end, is when you've literally walked the walk. You speak from experience.
Yes,
pretty great
we
stuff.
call that the Schroeder Way in our family.
Oh, I like it. The Schroeder Way.
The Schroeder Way. We might have
that
to.
one.
I was going to say, we might have to have Schroeder moments, moving forward. I love it.
You may be quoted in future episodes.
I was just going to say,
that sounds like the Schroeder Way.
moment.
So listen,
They're gonna
And here we are, right? I know.
That.
Speak to us about a success that you've had in your work that really just showcases the impact of what you do. It doesn't have to be anything concrete in terms of, that does sound kind of funny in landscape design, but from a perspective of what do you deem as a success that does showcase that in your work today? Owning your own company, serving clients, what does that look like for you at this time? Like, when did you kind of step back and go, that's just awesome. That happened. It's my company. It served someone in a powerful way. What does that look and feel like for you?
I don't know if I've had that yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've quite been there. For me, when I have that step back moment, it's when I look at my life. It's
Oh, I love that.
the freedom, the time that I have, the amount of flexibility that I have. I just go and I do as I see fit, and I still get my work done. Like this morning, I had 3 job site meetings and I still went to the gym and I'm still here. So we're getting everything in,
Exactly.
we're doing it. And that is what brings me joy. That's what I think is success. Like, we're doing it. We're waking up every day, we're paying our bills, and we're doing it by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, this whole mission that we're on, this movement that we're on with this whole resequencing of success, I mean, your story is the poster child of what we are passionate about. And that is recognizing that you don't have to set your sights on your end game and think there's a linear path to that. And you may not even know what your end game is.
It's just live on a beach somewhere,
Right?
Have a ranch
Right.
somewhere.
Amen to that.
Yes.
So that's what's so inspiring, I think, about your story to us, is how you truly are just living life and to the fullest. And when it comes to a dead end, you don't look at that as a negative.
I was just going to say, that is what's
There are
so
no dead
amazing.
end.
Okay. So I was going to, that.
They don't exist.
Yeah.
You're the dead end if you get one.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yep. The Schroeder Way.
The Schroeder Way. You're the dead end.
There's always something that can be done, right?
Yeah.
There's always, or a different pivot. I don't know. You just...
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, as you look at where you are today, having this business now on your own for 3.5 years, are you someone that does set sights in the future? Are you someone that does future cast and say, in 5 years, I really want to be here, or I want to accomplish this? Or have you really leaned in more to your intuition in the present moment to say, we're just going to keep moving forward. Whatever that means, it's going to take me to the next spot. Because I think we find that there's a balance of listeners of people who are very much vision board. This is what it needs to be, and I'm going to go after it, regardless of whether or not they think it's a linear path to get there. But then I also think there are people who truly work by gut, and they're more in tune with how every step is going to lead them to the next, not feeling like they have to think that far ahead. Where do you find yourself in that?
There were times in the beginning where I thought the vision board thing was the way to go for me, and I thought that I had total control. I learned the hard way that I have no control. Zero control over what happened. So that quickly taught me to just let it be.
Yeah.
It's just one day at a time. If you're blessed with that day.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth?
Let's do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
No, that's
a weird way to put
So
it.
can
That's amazing.
you
Yeah.
think of, and again, you're just beginning. This is not the, like you said, it's not the end game. There's so many more days ahead. You don't know what that looks like, which is exciting. But if you were to fast forward and say, what would that legacy be? Like, what would you want to leave behind, whether it's with the work that you do or what passions you have? Is there something that you are just destined to have as your legacy?
I think my legacy would be making everyone a wildflower, quite honestly. I want everyone to just live their own little happy life the best that they possibly can without being miserable doing whatever you're doing. There's just too much beauty and too much good.
Forgive me for if this is too personal, you can say, Jen, no, and we can cut it, but totally fair. But was there a circumstance or a moment in your life that has given you that profound outlook on life? Typically, people do not embrace the moment in the way that you do unless something has happened or formed that in the past. Was there anything specific that really caused you to have that perspective? Because I hope that you can help people become a wildflower in many ways, because it is so important, but we miss that so often. And you're not sitting from, a place of in your elder years passing this down. You are a young woman to be in that place. Was there anything that formed that? Anything you're willing to share about that? Or was it more just, you just felt it?
I think shockingly, I don't have a wild history. I don't have anything crazy that made me this way. I think it was quite honestly inspiration from my mother and watching my brothers grow up and just be hooligans and just get away with it all the time. And I would say that they definitely pushed me to just be original, quite honestly, and to be, I don't know, just a little bit different and to value different things. It's probably the Midwest in our family too.
Love that. Yeah.
Is where that comes from. I think our whole family is in that world. I think we all just want to love our lives.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that you have given so many of our listeners some true inspiration because you coming to that realization so early on is a gift. And I think that you are a gift to us. And thank you for joining us on this, because I do feel like that is critical for people when you're trying to pave your road and trying to figure out what this journey is, to be able to recognize that you literally are a wildflower and everyone around you is.
Yeah.
And you just to be able to help someone open up and take in the sun.
Yep.
And live their life is a gift. But yet at the same time, you can still be a successful businesswoman.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
and
thank
have
you.
joy doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I
Well,
think be a wildflower.
be a wildflower
Schroeder Way.
and do it the Schroeder Way.
The Schroeder Way.
That's
Schroeder
right.
Way.
I love that. I can already see the branding.
Okay.
You know,
Debbie
there
and I
will be merch.
I was going to say, we're providing you with an inspirational book of
Perfect. I'm going to need a
quotes.
10% of that.
Take it. Well, where can our listeners find you and learn more about what you do in your business?
I would say go to my website, cjslifestyle.com. And there's a little intro in there and portfolio images. I do have a YouTube as well. CJS Lifestyle YouTube.
Yep.
Is that a .YouTube?
Sure.
That's right. It's like, what is that? Everything's different. Is it ads or is it this?
No.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, with those two options, just give me a call, shoot me an email.
Wonderful.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us. If you loved this episode and know of someone who would find value in it, please spread the word and share it with a friend. We are passionate about redefining success, and it would mean the world if you could help us get our mission out to as many people as possible. Please take a minute to write a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. You can also hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Connect with us on Instagram at Success Resequencing Project or via our website at www.successresequencing.com. We'd love to hear your story.